So let's say now you're gonna be the consultant on the
Yeah,
outbound sales for us, for an
sure.
agent, not us,
Yeah.
but like for all the agencies that are probably consuming this content. And not only agencies, but really any organization that is doing outbound. So what would you say,
Sure.
how would you structure it? How would this most effective outbound strategy would look like?
So there are four steps. There's four main principles to doing this, right? If you miss any of these steps, it's going to fall apart. Okay. The first one is that you have to build what I call a 20% list. A 20% list is a concept where you apply the Pareto principle to your addressable market. Pareto principle says that it's the 80-20. 20% of your current clients generate 80% of your profits or your revenue, that type of thing. Well, you want to apply that to your target audience, right? So you focus on B2C companies doing between, I believe you said, $3 to $9 million. Well, out of that industry, out of that cohort or that market, you want to find the businesses that are in the center of the bullseye, meaning that that if you got on a sales call with them, there is a high likelihood, that they're going to be a good fit, and there's a high likelihood you'll close them. So there are two criteria that you look at when building a list. Number one, do they have an acute version of the pain that we solve, right? So for you, maybe it is e-commerce, and they're struggling with high CPAs or whatever that is. So being able to identify those businesses in your total addressable market that have an acute pain point or acute pain that related to the pain that you solve. Right? There's a number of ways to do that. And then number two is you want to make sure that they can afford your services. Right? I'll tell you a quick example real quickly. One of my clients, it was actually before they became a client, they heard of this idea of doing gift-based outbound, and they said, we're going to target mold remediation companies. And they went out and they did all this research, and they found this amazing flashlight that the best mold remediation companies use. And it's like $100 flashlight. It's like this super high-end one that most businesses won't buy because they don't want to spend that kind of money. In any event, they found this amazing flashlight, and they sent it out to about 30 different of these businesses on their list. And they started doing the follow-up. All that's good, except for the fact that they realized when they were starting to do the follow-up, that half the businesses that they sent this flashlight to were too small. They were not able to actually afford the agency's fees or the type of marketing strategies that they ran. And so you want to make sure that the businesses on your 20% list can afford your services. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes?
No.
You haven't? Okay. It's a book it's kind of an old timey book, but it's fairly popular. It's one of these books that people refer to over the years. And one of the main concepts in there is something that's called your Dream 100. Okay. Your Dream 100 are like the 100 businesses that if you had them as clients, they would be the best clients. They would be the most profitable. They'd stay with you forever. Like your Dream 100. That's the kind of business you want to send these gifts to. Okay. So it is very much a small list, not a big list, small list, 20, 30 businesses to start. That's step one. Okay. So you get the list. The second step is the gift. I mentioned this earlier. You don't want to send like cheap logo swag. You want to send something that meets three criteria. The first criteria is that it's unique. Second one is that it's striking. And the third one is that it leaves an impression. So I'll give you an example. We used to send gourmet cookies to attorneys. And the way it worked is if you've ever cold called, if any of the listeners here have ever called into a professional services firm, like a law firm, you have someone at the front desk that's called the gatekeeper. They're the receptionist, right? And the receptionist's job is to screen out all of the soliciting calls, the sales calls. And so we struggled with that because we couldn't get through to the attorney until we started sending cookies. And these were not just any kind of cookies. These were amazing gourmet cookies. We went out and found the best cookies. Okay, we'd send it as a FedEx package delivery over to the attorney. It would bypass the mail room and go right to the attorney. Attorney would open up this overnight box, pull out these amazing cookies, and would be floored by how amazing they are. They ended up in the break room, and of course, everyone in the law firm is eating these amazing cookies, and everyone's saying like, who brought the amazing cookies? Ooh, oh, these are amazing. Oh my God. And of course, the name Scorpion, the company, was bouncing off all the walls because everyone says, like, this company Scorpion. Well, who's Scorpion? I don't know who Scorpion is. By the time we called, we were already known, and they would respond with, oh, you guys are the ones that you sent those cookies. Oh my God, those were amazing. Let me put you through. Right.
Yeah.
So we were known by the time. So cookies is my default, but you can go through a process. What you really want to do is you want to have something, a gift that makes them feel VIP, makes them feel like, gosh, these people thought about me. These guys, this is different, and I want to know who they are. Okay, so that's the gift. The third step is the follow-up. As I mentioned earlier, you can't just send an amazing gift and expect them to call. You have to follow up. I recommend 6 follow-ups in the first 2 weeks. You have to pick up the phone, not an email, hide behind the keyboard type of thing. You have to pick up the phone, give them a call. You want to get them on the call, and you have introduce yourself and share that you sent this amazing gift. You want to introduce yourself. You want to get to know them. And so you do call, voicemail, and then email 6 times over 2 weeks. Okay. And then the last step is you want to have longevity. Because here's the thing. If you send out 100 cookies or 100 gifts, you're only going to get meetings with about 10 of them. Okay. 10% send to meeting ratio is really good, by the way.
Yeah.
But you're only going to get 10 of them. What about the other 90? They're going to ghost you. They're not going to respond. Here's the thing. They got the gift, but they're just not ready to talk to you. So what do? You send another gift in 90 days. And then you send another gift in 90 days. You continue sending gifts to them until they get on the call with you. And this is what I call, it's based on what I call the product life cycle of a typical client. So Baz, let me ask you, what is the average, like how long do clients typically stay with you on average? If you don't mind me asking.
20 months.
20 months?
Yeah.
So if you think about that and compare it to, I live in the United States, and on average, Americans stay in their house about 9 years, right, before finding a new house. On average, they keep a car for about 5 years. Well, in your world, your agency clients, the product life cycle of a client is about 20 months. So that on average, you can assume that that's the typical life cycle of an agency in your space. So if you had a business that you sent a gift to every quarter for, let's say, 5, what's the math?
Yeah, around let's say 18 months.
What's that? 18 months. Okay, great.
Yeah, 6 months times 3. Yeah.
Perfect. So then you'd send them 6 gifts. If after 6 gifts they haven't responded, then they're just not going to respond. But what happens is it's kind of like you build interest in building interest in the bank. Like every gift you send is building reciprocity. And if you do the right gift, they're going to come back to you and eventually say, Baz, I am so sorry. We have not responded. We just weren't ready to have this conversation. Thank you for the wine. Thank you for the amazing book that you sent. Thank you for the, all these amazing gifts. We're ready to have this conversation.
Makes sense.
So, there's something that's called the day one list. The day one list is that 80 to 90% of buyers of agency services have a short list of businesses that they're going to interview as part of is who they're going to choose, right? And I'll give you an example. If you were going to go out and buy a car today, you probably have a short list in your mind of the kind of car you'd go get. You're not going to go out and test drive like 80 cars. You have a short list. So does your buyer, right? And of the 80 to 90 people who have this short list, 90% of those people will buy from the short list. And so what you want to do is you want to get on the short list. You want to be one of the companies that they come and interview. And that's what you do with this gift-based outbound. You make sure that you are on that short list.